Let me ask you something. Have you ever wondered to yourself what would happen if two fused people in Dragon Ball using any method of fusion ever decided to conceive a child?
Good one.
What would happen? Whose child would that be? And would the child be viable? Would he or she exist? Well, today on Blackscape, I am uncovering the mysteries of fusion birth and seeing if this is a viable option. I got my top guys working on this as we speak. They have compiled a set of data and analytics that give us the answer that we've all been wondering for so long. But before I jump into the video, I want to know what your thoughts are on it. Could people who are fused together have a child? Could they have a baby? And if so, whose baby actually is it? Now, to keep this clean for the YouTube overlords, I'm going to be using a lot of technical terms, so you're not going to be hearing anything too crass on this video. Although the content of the video is in the mature audience range, so viewer discretion advised. So before we even dump into these two fused people actually doing the deed and having intercourse together to ultimately have a baby, first we have to see which fusion is the most viable for this type of test.
Ting tang, walla walla bing bang. Ooh ee, ooh ting tang, walla walla bing bang.
So for today's video, I'm focusing primarily on the two levels of fusion that we've seen the Saiyans go through, because I know there's other countless types of fusion and absorption that we've seen in Dragon Ball, but it pertains to other characters, and usually when that happens, yeah, the character kind of stays the same. So we are only going to be looking at the fusion dance and Potara fusion. Fusion dance, we have an issue here, and the fusion dance's issue is that since the beginning, it has only been stated to be 30 minutes long. That's literally it, nothing more, and I believe nothing less, although it is unclear whether the amount of power actually drains from the fusion or if that's just something that happened to the Potara fusion. But it is only 30 minutes long, and that is the one that has been a mainstay since the very beginning of Dragon Ball. The rules of this fusion really haven't changed that much, besides the fact that the two fusees needed to be, like, you know, equal in stature. So I don't know how Goku and Vegeta are kind of doing it, but whatever. So we really only have the Potara fusion to work with this hypothesis, and the Potara fusion was a permanent fusion and really kind of still is. So back in Dragon Ball Z, the Potara fusion was a permanent fusing option. You had to have the earrings on. Once the earrings came into play, you were fused together into an entirely new being. This is something that Goku took very seriously, although he forgot to tell Vegeta about it until the very end, until Vegeta was putting the earring on. Didn't have time to think about it, so Vegeta was about to literally lose himself. So you could really see this as Vegeta and Goku literally losing themselves to fuse into a new being. And this is where our first clue as to what the fusion fornication, I know that's a big word, what the fusion fornication would bring out of two fused people having a baby. Because Vegito says it himself very, very clearly and very, very plainly. I am neither Goku or Vegeta. The Potara fusion, you are not a mortal, then you are permanently fused. They changed this in Dragon Ball Super so they could use Vegito in the Goku Black arc without anybody getting really upset that, you know, Vegeta and Goku are officially gone, essentially, because in DBZ, they got absorbed, and that is what made them separate, because the fusion wasn't stable enough to be absorbed into another being, and so they just got disassembled. They got basically reset back to zero. But as you guys can see, when the Supreme Kai and Kefla both fused together, they were permanent. They were permanent for a very, very long time until they got defused. If you don't remember, Kefla Kai actually went to New Namek to ask them to wish for him to be defused. So that's how he got defused in the first place. Back to two people because it was a wish. And then I'm assuming that the Kefla stopped working for the Supreme Kai because we don't really see him after that, or at all. We don't really have him in the story. Maybe he's a little upset that he was fused in permanence. Plus, you could tell that Kefla was kind of done with the Supreme Kai and his incompetence anyway. So with Goku and Vegeta not being immortal, they ended up in the Goku Black arc using the Potara fusion only for like less than 15 minutes because the power of that fusion, the Super Saiyan Blue power, was overwhelming the fusion itself, making it unstable and making them separate early. Because now we're finding out that they actually, in the Potara fusion, if you're immortal, you only are fused for 30 minutes. That's basically it. That's all the time that you have. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. It is just written that way. And to me, as somebody who likes or liked the fact that we got Vegito and that he was supposed to be permanent, it really does suck. But I do like the fact that we do keep Goku and Vegeta at some level. But say, what if Goku and Vegeta were immortal? Say they took the Dragon Balls and wished for immortality. They wouldn't be mere mortals anymore, meaning that they could fuse permanently. That's really the only way that you can get around that. So you have that as the basis, right? Now you have two characters that will fuse permanently. And say you have somebody like, say, I'm not going to use Kale and Kefla because a lot of you guys, you know, get a little bit iffy on the fact whether they are, you know, in their late teens or early 20s, which they're obviously in their early 20s because of the fact that they are bandits out there in the world of Planet Sadala, and has been shown many, many different times that they are actually much older. They're not teenagers, they're in their early 20s. But I'm going to be using a what if fusion with Bulma and Chi-Chi. Bulma and Chi-Chi both also wish for immortality, which is something that even the Earth Dragon, for the most part, can give, at least as far as I remember. But if not, Namek can also give this wish. So once they're both immortal, they end up fusing together, and now they are permanently Vegito, and permanently Bolchi is kind of where I'm landing on this, because I'm thinking that the Bulma personality would be dominant. But here is where it doesn't really matter, because these two fused beings are brand new. They are not, oh, this one's a little bit 50% Goku, 50% Vegeta, or, you know, 60 or 70% Vegeta and, you know, 40% Goku. No, this is a brand new being. This is a brand new being. It is neither Goku nor Vegeta. It is Vegito. And so, with that being said, these are two new people. Bolchi and Vegito are two new characters that have their own futures ahead of them, have their own lives to live. They may have the characteristics and, in a weird way, the DNA of Goku, Vegeta, Bulma, and Chi-Chi, but these DNA sequences have been fused together to create something brand new, and now we have one single strand of Vegito and Bolchi DNA. So at this point now, you guys can kind of see where this is going, and that is that Vegito and Bolchi, if they ended up fornicating, if they ended up consummating, and Bolchi got pregnant, this new baby would be a brand new person. It would be the child of Vegito and Bolchi, because these two are two brand new characters. They are not fused characters. There are not four people in this relationship. There's only two. So these two people would have a kid. I don't know, what would you call this kid? Go Trunks or something? Trunkton? There you go, Trunkton. Trunkton is a brand new being, and there you go. That's literally the end of the story. Goodbye, see you guys later. Wait, you're saying that this isn't enough for you? That you don't want this like what if type of scenario? Okay, fine. I will remove the what if elements. Fuck it, we're bringing Kefla back anyway. And we have now Vegito and Kefla. They have 15 minutes. That's literally it. 15 minutes. And say if they did decide to do, then Kefla gets pregnant, but then they defuse. What ends up happening? Well, unfortunately for these two new fused parents, yeah, they are not gonna be having a baby if they defuse. Because once they defuse, you can think of it as they kill Kefla, they kill Vegito. Those two beings no longer exist until they fuse again. They are in the ether. So actually, there could be a argument here that if Kefla defused, Kale and Kefla go back to normal, you know, they're back to normal. Neither of them are impregnated, and then you have Kale and Caulifla fuse again in the future, then Kefla is brought back, there could be an argument that she would still be pregnant. And then every 15 minutes for whatever a 9-month period is, how long Saiyan women are pregnant for, I think it might be shorter than that, because as you guys know from Saiyan society, like the babies go straight into like this sort of chamber, so it could be a lot less than that. Then you just kind of count up those 15 minutes every time they fuse. They're like waiting down the clock of being pregnant before they ultimately have their baby. There could be an argument for that. I'm not going to be dismissing that, although, I mean, for me as the cynic, I would say that the baby's gone, just like they're gone, and then they just reset, and then once they refuse again, it's just a brand new version of Kefla. But using our minds and working that big muscle in our head, I think it's really interesting if you would think of it this way, where if Kefla ended up having a baby, say she went through different versions of fusion throughout a couple of months or whatever, and so that tallied up to the amount, the length of time that it would take for her to have the baby and then finally, you know, give birth. That new being, in my opinion, even if Kefla diffuses back to Caulifla and Kale, that new being is a real being. It's out of the body. It's not connected to Kefla in that way. She's only the birth mother. So this new being, I don't know, we'll call him, I don't know, Vekla, something like that, Vekla. This new being, Vekla, would be his own new person. It would be a brand new fused birth, a brand new fused being. And yeah, that would be a whole different thing that the Z Squad would have to worry about. But this is never going to happen because Goku and Vegeta are in, you know, marriages. But then that also brings to the question, if they do something as Vegito, are they at fault? I don't think so, because Vegito is a brand new person. He is not beholden to Chi-Chi or Bulma, and so he could realistically look out for new relationships in the 15 minutes of his life. But if they are immortal, he could be a brand new person looking for something for the rest of his life. You guys get where I'm going with this? Hopefully that answers your questions, but if it doesn't, let me know in the comments below what else is there to discuss. And if you have any video topics you would like me to discuss about Dragon Ball, let me know in the comments below, guys.